My one and only totem is not doing so great right now. I'm going to give you a little bit of an update and tell you the 5 reasons why I only own one totem.
I'm YK2012, founder of the Upland Guide. I'm here to unlock the secrets of the Upland Metaverse. On this channel, you can find everything you need to build your Upland empire. Expert tutorials, winning strategies, pro tips and tricks, and a lot more. Hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell to stay ahead of the game. Remember, knowledge is power, and in the Upland Metaverse, that knowledge is truly your most valuable asset.
Here's a graph of my specific totem, and I'm tracking along the timeline the amount of protem that I have collected and the amount of protem that I have spent. There's also the spend score, which you can see as this line graph. The amount that I've collected is fairly constant, and that leads me to believe that one of these styles is going to be a step up. Either it's going to be a small step or a big step. I still have no idea when this is going to happen, but I'm still waiting patiently. But what you can see here is that I've spent significantly more feeding my totem than I have in returns. So I'm really hoping that this is going to improve, or maybe I'm going to start spending a little bit less and hoping that I'm going to be losing less. But I'm still learning more about totems, and I'm still optimistic that my collection amounts will start to grow. Now, Upland initially announced totems back in August of 2023, and they gave us some information, and I immediately started creating a number of videos to help the community, as I always do, in understanding the information that we were provided by Upland. Upland sold mystery passes, which you could exchange for totems in 5 different sales, where these mystery passes were sold for both UPX and US dollars. Afterwards, of course, players were still able to buy these mystery passes on the secondary market, as well as totems on the secondary market. But still, I had only purchased one. Why? Firstly, these mystery passes to get yourself a totem were readily available if you were interested in purchasing them for US dollars. I was not, so that made them increasingly hard to come by because people were very anxious to be purchasing them for UPX. Number 2, I made sure to register for all 5 of the sales, but I was only actually early enough in line to purchase for one of them. So with that, I did make my one totem purchase. The third reason that I didn't purchase more is because I knew that they were going to be a little bit more complex to sell. The mystery passes were able to be sold in variety legit shops, but that was something that was only announced along with the mystery pass announcement. It wasn't clear at the get-go as to when these shops were going to be opened for players to be able to sell these variety legit shops, and I knew that I didn't have enough legits in my inventory in order to open up my own shop. As for totems, they are sold in Map Asset MetaVentures, but at the time I did not own one, and the submerchant feature, which allows you to list your items in other players' shop, is not functional for the type of 3D assets that are placed on properties. So those are map assets, vehicles, and structure ornaments. So without that submerchant feature, it makes it a lot more difficult for the average player to really sell their totem in someone else's map asset MetaVenture. The fourth reason that I only bought one totem is because they're not super interesting to me. The best part about Upland is that you don't have to participate in everything, and not everything is going to appeal to everybody. They are working on different features and different partnerships that appeal to different groups of audiences, and something like this totem just doesn't really appeal to me. Having said that, it was super important for me to buy one no matter what, because part of the Upland Guide is explaining everything that has to do with Upland, even things that I'm not really interested in if I was just a regular player on my own. I would be focusing on other things. But it is important for me to create this type of content and to help explain to you everything that has to do with Upland. So that's why I have one. But lastly, and the biggest reason why I only own one, is because these things are super complicated. It was very clear to me from the very beginning that this was not something that you just own and keep in your assets and you don't have to do anything with it. It was very clear from the beginning that there were these feeding schedules and collecting schedules, and that we would have to start figuring things out on our own through a lot of trial and error and helping each other out through the community to understand how each one of these completely unique totems has its own schedule. So for me, it was clear that managing more than one totem is going to be extremely complex, each one of it having its own schedule, feeding amounts, and timing. Upland also explained that one of the traits, which is the base of your totem, is referring to the type of penalties that you will have by not feeding it properly or on time. So the ability for players to lose Protem in the process is also something that adds another level of complexity and really requires players to really provide it the attention needed and understand exactly how it works in order to maximize the amount of Protem that you will receive. I also knew that there was no chance that I would personally be losing any sleep over feeding this. Now, as I showed you at the beginning of this video, I'm still trying to figure out my totem, and at the meantime, I seem to be losing more than I am putting in. Now, for me, figuring this puzzle out is something that is really interesting. I enjoy spreadsheets, I enjoy numbers, and I enjoy a good puzzle. But I just don't have the time to figure out exactly how my totem is working and optimizing it. So I'm still optimistic that this output graph will somehow jump, but I'm not going to spend that much more time on it. I'm going to continue feeding it and trying to make some small changes to see what does change, but I am hoping for the best. But I really do think that there are players who will be able to crack the code of their totems, and they will be able to earn a lot more Protem than they input. Let me know your thoughts. How many totems do you own, and have you started profiting off of them yet? Or are you still struggling like me to break the code?